Hello, hello, hello.
Look, lady, whatever you're selling, I ain't buying, yo.
Well,
Hello.
my name is Skylar White, yo.
Hello.
My husband is Walter White, yo.
It changed my music. I know that I gave it pre-permissions to do that, but we're gonna change it back. Give me my Soulsborne DMCA free. Welcome in, Manda. Shout out X Manda Bear X. Hey Vinny, hey Hoko, hey Emily, how's everybody doing? It's Friday. Yet another week of corporate servitude down.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
Let's go. Let's go. So this one's going to be a little bit of a different vibe and procedure than normal, as you can imagine. Last time I tried to do an ASMR stream, it didn't really... I just kept getting loud. I just kept getting loud and just talking the way that I normally would, which is fine. But today I'm feeling a little weird. Not bad weird, not bad mood weird. There's just been a lot of things happening in a very small window, that each one of those things would be a lot for your typical person to kind of like learn to accept and deal with. Now granted, I have the benefit of practicing a personal philosophy that helps me specifically deal with situations, including the very fucked up ones. Not that any fucked up situation has happened. In the general grand scheme of things, everything is okay right now. I'm just feeling very blah. So, you know, what better time to do an ASMR stream than one in which I don't have to put any inflection in my voice. I don't think I'm gonna exactly run out to the store and grab one of those squelchy things and squelch it into your ear. I think that is some sort of psychological red line that I am so unbelievably not interested in crossing. But today we're just gonna let it ride. I'm gonna read words, and it's gonna be about Dark Souls lore, which is everybody's interested in. In theory, everything I'm gonna be reading to you is going to be formatted in such a way that it's going to make sense, completely unlike any of the random, vague tidbits and knickknacks and paddywhacks of information that you get from the items, armor, and background noise and world building and so on, that the Dark Souls series is very well known for. Snooze button this. Hope you'll feel better soon. I would say give me like 3 days. Hey Lilium, I saw what you did with the auto shout out in your Discord. I appreciate that a lot, and it was a very nice message. Give me 3 days. So typically whenever I'm feeling this way, I have a way of like talking to myself, but not in a crazy way. Using essentially the Socratic method to break down piece by piece anything negative that I'm feeling, and then coming up with some sort of internal psychological game plan to not feel that way, and to try to take even the things that are negative and make them constructive, or make them positive, or guide myself through it in some other series of ways. So I will be okay, honestly. Just give me like 2 or 3 days and I will just work through all of it, and then I will be back to screaming inane bullshit into a blue Yeti X when whatever it is that we have pinned at the top of the chat is gonna get picked, whether it's probably Amnesia the Bunker or Resident Evil 2 2019, the other games that are there, Remnant 2, and whatever the other one is, which is a great sign that I don't even remember what it was. The other 2 choices don't have a chance. There's so many votes that are going to basically force it to be one or the other. In fact, I don't know if there's like insider trading going on, but it seems like Amnesia and Resident Evil 2 are just constantly tied, and like the people can't see what other people voted for ahead of time. There's no just show me the results and then let me vote option. So the fact that it's literally 50-50 for the last 3 or 4 days has been very interesting. It's been a while since I've been here again. It's good to see you, Lilium. And it doesn't help that we have insanely different time zones too, of what, like 5-6 hours, something like that. There's a non-small number of international viewers that I have and regulars that at least in the case of one of them specifically destroys their sleep schedule in order to watch me, which while I appreciate, I wish that there was a way to not have them do that. Let's speed within 3 days. Let's do it. Love mate. Yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep soon. Not gonna lie, it's 1 a.m. for me right now. VOD stoic. What? VOD's what? VOD's what? What? If we had met 2 or 3 years ago, I might have done the same. All right, so we're gonna start with locations today. Dark Souls 3 is gonna be background dressing like a salad. It's gonna be like salad dressing, okay? Where the words that are coming out of my mouth are gonna be the salad. All right. I am aware that there is windy sounds that are playing in the background from Dark Souls 3 itself. If at any point the windy sounds gets annoying to you, you are not insulting me if you say, hey, I enjoy the thematic effect, but like the wind sound is now distracting to me. Can we stop it? Okay, I'm not married to it. I didn't make it. I didn't make the windy sounds. I'm not currently making the windy sounds. I didn't make Dark Souls 3. I'm not Miyazaki. My name is not Miyazaki. So like, you're not going to hurt me in any way if the wind sounds are just distracting or unhelpful. I think it's neat to have them in the background as atmosphere, but again, it's a different thing when if you're the one that's making screechy sounds with a fork and a knife on a plate, it's not going to be anywhere near as annoying to you because you're the one that's making the sound. VODs are the answer. They can still see. Oh yeah. You're right. You're so smart, Hoko. That's why I pay the big bucks. Check is definitely in the mail. It's definitely not going to get lost this time. So we're gonna start with locations. So the story of Dark Souls begins in a nameless, fog-shrouded land of gray crags and towering arch trees, whose very trunks hold the unformed world as its pillars. Against this colorless backdrop, the everlasting dragons presided over an era of unchanging emptiness beyond the reach of mortality. But all things must someday come to an end, and the primordial stillness eventually gave way to the first flame, a source of heat, life, and light. Yet to light a candle is to cast a shadow, and with fire comes disparity, opposite heat. There was cold, opposite life, there was death, and opposite light, of course, there was dark. What the fuck, I have a 3-inch long slug on the wall in my bathroom? Yeah, you should eat it. Yeah, give it to Hoko. Hoko will eat it. Do pandas like slugs? What do pandas eat except for... No, I'm thinking of koalas. I almost said eucalyptus trees. Is it like, do pandas really eat bamboo? I mean, I guess it, like, I don't know if it's like their main thing. As long as you actually take it away, enjoy it, I will also not be watching because I don't want to throw up. Okay. And from the dark emerged new entities, unlike the ancient dragons, small mortal creatures born of the shadows and drawn like moths to the first flame. There they found the souls of lords, fragments of the flame whose power lent them the means to challenge the dragons and prevail. Lord Gwyn's bolts of sunlight peeled apart the dragon's stone scales. The Witch of Izalith and her Daughters of Chaos blanketed the land in searing firestorms. Grave Lord Nito, the first of the dead, released a toxic miasma of death and disease. The white dragon, Seath the Scaleless, turned upon his brethren, and by the time the fog cleared, the Age of Dragons had reached its end. Thus began the Age of Fire, during which Lordran and the surrounding lands were administered by the bearers of the Lord's souls. Eventually, however, the first flame began to fade even as the dark grew. and the waning power of fire became too weak to keep the dark at bay. Far beyond Lordran, in the world of humans, an affliction known as the Dark Sign spread throughout the populace. The Dark Sign brands the undead, those affected by the fading of the fire. Carriers of this mark are no longer able to die, but will eventually lose their minds and become hollow lest they maintain a firm grasp on their humanity. Fearful of the encroaching dark, Lord Gwyn commanded his children to shepherd the humans in order to preserve the fire and thwart the advent of a Dark Lord. Dragon, chat, someone invade him and kill him. I don't know if you can invade me outside Firelink. I'm not actually like in... I think this whole area is protected because it's supposed to be like a baby, like a Weenie Hut Jr. area. Yeah, you can't invade me, Franny. So like, what the fuck are you... Like, why are you trying to invade me? Or get me invaded, huh? I gave you what you wanted. Granted, it was a month and a half late, but I gave you Claude. I can just as easily take Claude away. You let me know through your behavior what your choice is. Panda's diets are 99% vegetarian, consisting mainly of bamboo leaves, stems, shoots, and roots. They can eat up to 84 pounds of bamboo per day. Damn, that's a lot of veggies. To counteract the spreading dark and extend the age of fire, the Witch of Izalith devised a plan to rekindle the first flame using her own Lord Soul as a catalyst. However, she lost control of its power in a catastrophic failure that produced a chaotic, hellish flame, which all but eradicated the city of Izalith. This new flame of chaos was a twisted perversion of nature, as was the demon race to which it gave rise. Lord Gwyn waged a brutal campaign to suppress the demons, during which the knights under his command suffered severe exposure to the flames of chaos, that their armor was burned indelibly black. The Lord of Sunlight and his knights ultimately persevered and prepared to confront the last, greatest threat to their kingdom, the Dark. Turn page. Bumping my mic. Desperate to stave off the dark, Lord Gwyn departed Anor Londo with the Black Knights in tow, and cast himself into the embers of the first flame, relighting it using his own body as kindling in a last-ditch attempt to keep the dark at bay. Though the knights had followed him to the kiln of the first flame, were burned to ash in the process. Gwyn's gambit succeeded, if only temporarily. His Age of Fire continued even as his successors began to realize that eventually the fire would fade and only dark would remain. Gwendolyn of the Dark Sun, the last-born child of Lord Gwyn, hatched a plot to preserve the power of fire indefinitely by deceiving errant undead who journeyed to Lordran and, following his father's footsteps, sacrificing themselves to relight the first flame, to link the fire as it had come to be called. Gwendolyn set his plans in motion and bided his time, awaiting the arrival of unsuspecting pawns from outside Lordran even after the other gods abandoned Anor Londo, weaving an illusion of his sister, son Princess Guinevere, that's the one with the big ol' tatas. The book doesn't say that, I'm saying that. Editor's note. In the throne room of Anor Londo's keep, Gwendolyn assigned his remaining servants to guide undead travelers to her, so that they might be convinced of their supposed destiny to link the fire. Seath, meanwhile, had been granted dukedom by Gwyn and still resided in the city archives, but gradually succumbed to madness over the course of his obsessive research on attaining scales of immortality. Turn page. Dark Souls 2, Drangleic. Many kingdoms have risen and fallen since the first linking of the fire, each built upon the ruins of the last. Men and gods, paupers and kings, all are delivered equally to the same end by the indifferent flow of time, and by the curse of the undead which spreads as far as the fire fades. Drangleic is the most recent nation to fall to the curse, and many undead from the outlying lands have undertaken the perilous journey to this crumbling realm in search of a cure, or, at the very least, some small spark of hope to spare them from going hollow. Drangleic's current plight is merely the capstone of a dark and sordid history. Its king, Vendrick, was approached during the early days of his reign by a mysterious and beautiful woman named Chandra, who ingratiated herself with the court and warned Vedrick of a dire threat to his fledgling kingdom, the race of giants hailing from far beyond the Great Sea. Nashandra attested that the giants meant to invade Drangleic and urged Vendrick to mount a preemptive campaign against them. Convinced by Nashandra's plea and smitten by her charms, Vendrick took her hand in marriage and set off with his armies across the ocean. There, after subduing the giants, Vendrick and his men pillaged a powerful artifact, bringing several giants back to Drangleic as prisoners of war. The subsequent peace in Drangleic marked a golden age for the kingdom, though this newfound success came at a terrible cost. On Vendrick's orders, his brother Aldia and a shadowy group of researchers performed a series of unspeakable experiments with the intent of harnessing the captive giant's power through their souls. The ill-fated test subjects experienced indescribable torment at the hands of Aldia and his subordinates, but the experiments ultimately achieved their goal. Vendrick now commanded the strength of the giants and the ability to manipulate souls, which he used to create a breed of quasi-living automatons known as golems. These creatures became a cornerstone of Drangleic and were instrumental to the kingdom's prosperity. Every decision, however, carries a consequence, and the recompense for Vendrick's actions were severe. The Lord of the Giants, seeking to avenge the unprovoked attacks on his lands and rescue those of his countrymen who had been taken prisoner, launched a massive counter-invasion. Drangleic's golden era came crashing to a halt as the giants crossed the sea and laid siege to the kingdom, resulting in a bitter stalemate that lasted for generations and was broken by an unnamed hero only after taking an irreparable toll on Drangleic's populace. During this time, the kingdom was struck by another disaster of a very different sort, the Undead Curse, which slowly began spreading among Vendrick's subjects as the siege dragged on. Weary of fighting and desperate to repel the curse, Vendrick turned once again to his brother Aldia for assistance, and each set down a different path of inquiry toward a common goal. This time, however, fundamental differences existed in the two brothers' philosophies, which would eventually prove I can do this word, dude. Irreconcilable? Irreconcilable. It didn't work out. That's what that word means. It didn't work out. It was known that the forces of fire and dark existed in alternating states, and that only the dark would remain once the flames had faded. Vendrick hoped simply to expunge the dark with the power of fire, while Aldia attempted to break the cycle entirely. This ideological rift, as well as the increasingly twisted nature of Aldia's research, ultimately drove Vendrick to banish and imprison his brother. Irreconcilable? Irreconcilable. Irreconcilable. Really? That's how you say that? Irreconcilable? I feel like I'm irreconcilable. That sounds right, but it also sounds wrong. I believe you, though. I believe you 100%. Next page. At a loss for a means to prevent the undead curse from spreading, Vendrick realized that his time was short, and he could accomplish nothing more. He set out for the undead crypt with his most trusted retainers to seal the keys of his kingdom, in hopes that, given enough time, a worthy successor would pick up where he had left off and find the answers he himself had failed to grasp. Neither the king nor any of his companions ever returned, leaving Queen Nashandra alone to rule what remained of Drangleic. Meanwhile, Nashandra, who was in truth no mere human but a dark being born in the abyss from the fragmented soul of Manus, that escalated quickly, editor's note, had masterminded Vendrick's downfall in an ambitious bid not to merely take control of Drangleic, but to seize the throne of Want, the seat of the rightful monarch upon whose shoulders lay the burden of linking the fire and usurp the first flame. Vendrick, for his part, had been aware of his queen's true nature and insatiable lust for power, but was unable to stop her. Instead, by sealing the throne of Want and hiding away its keys, he had hoped to keep it out of Nashandra's reach until a true monarch could take his or her rightful place. It is during this time that the player character, a bearer of the undead curse, arrives in Drangleic seeking a cure. I don't think that we got a Shout out for It's Franny B at He Just Like Me, but British though. I made the mistake of picking the default accent at the character creator. He got the super cool DLC voice. The cycle of disparity has continued unbroken for many eons in Dark Souls 3's Lothric. Alternating ages of fire and dark stretched so far into the past that the tale of their origin amount to little more than ancient legends. Lords of Cinder have risen and fallen in turn, each dutifully offering his flesh to link the fire, only for it to fade once more into dark. The few surviving gods of Lordrain live in hiding, their influence waning, even as their names fade into obscurity, while the once great city of Anor Londo lies in crumbling ruins. You should follow Franny. Franny is a great streamer. He's a better streamer than he gives himself credit for sometimes. Definitely worth, like, there's a reason why I just have him in the background just constantly while I'm working. It's one of the few things that stops me from, like, pulling my own face off. I love Franny. He's a chaotic gremlin. Lurk, I'm off to sleep, man. Have a good sleep, Liam. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming by. The demons too stand on the brink of extinction, with their numbers dwindling in the flames of chaos, their source of power and sustenance all but extinguished. Likewise, little remains of the ancient city of Izalith where they were born, save its half-collapsed underpinnings buried beneath the remains of several more recent civilizations. Although the art of pyromancy and its practitioners live on in the Great Swamp, its roots have been long forgotten, and the chaos witches from whom it originated are no more. Meanwhile, the servants of Darkstalker Kaith are more numerous and organized than ever, and continue working to undermine the linking of the fire. In Londor, the Land of Hollows, three sisters founded the Sable Church with the goals of uniting those afflicted with the undead curse and grooming the next Dark Lord. Every member of the church is a trained swordsman, and some specialize in assassination. Indeed, its fundamental precepts offer salvation to Hollows, while conversely cursing all living things. The populace of Londor in general comprises a questionable assortment of wretchedly aged, deceitful, and dubiously secretive undead, among whom a few are so desperate to hide their true nature that they fool themselves and turn themselves upon their own kind. Owing to their suspect activities and generally unsavory dispositions, the denizens of Londor, and members of the Sable Church in particular, are shunned by the rest of mankind and forced to live in the shadows. Hearts to you too, Emily. Thank you for being here. Kingdoms have successfully risen and fallen on the same plots of land. The nation currently occupying the convergence of these ancient territories is Lothric, a decaying city-state, isolated from even its immediate neighbors by the high wall upon which it sits. That's what's in the background behind me. Adjoining Lothric on the exterior of the high wall is the Firelake Shrine, which we're actually sitting on top of, and houses the ceremonial thrones of 5 previous Lords of Cinder. The first flame is also enshrined here, and the region is set to lie at the convergence of many separate territories. The importance of the sacred site in the linking of the fire draws throngs of pilgrims from outlying lands despite the arduous journey and the decline of Lothric. However, attitudes towards linking the fire have begun to change, and the futility of the endless cycle between ages of fire and dark have dawned upon those who might otherwise offer themselves upon the altar of the gods. Candidates for sacrifice to the first flame have been precious few, which has led the activation of a security measure established to ensure that the fire would endure. When the link of fire is threatened, the bell tolls, unearthing the old Lords of Cinders from their graves. These lords were meant to offer their residual embers to light the first flame anew, but as the prophecy states, the fire fades and the lords go without thrones. The newly arisen lords in fact abandoned their thrones of their own volition, rejecting their destiny and returning instead to their own abodes. The abdication of the Lords of Cinder from their duty in turn triggered a final failsafe, a last desperate measure to ensure that someone, anyone would link the fire, the awakening of the unkindled. That's us. These nameless, cursed undead are unfit even to be cinder, and are instead tasked with returning the extant lords to their thrones, by force, if necessary, in order to gather the embers required to link the fire. And so it is that the Cemetery of Ash suddenly becomes a much livelier place, and the player character, one of the many unkindled with a common mission, rises from an unmarked grave. Let's talk about the Abyss, Manus, and the Fragments of Dark. The Abyss is a realm of dark born from Manus, the primeval man also known as the Father of the Abyss. This plane of existence shares nebulous borders with the mortal world and slowly encroaches thereupon, swallowing all in its path. The Abyss is inhospitable to mortals and entities aligned with fire, including the gods. These beings cannot traverse the Abyss without special equipment or other protection to prevent both physical and spiritual corruption. However, creatures aligned with or merely indifferent to the dark are able to traverse the Abyss without suffering any ill effects. In the distant past, Sir Artorias of Gwyn's Four Knights traveled to Ulusil with his comrade Hawkeye Gao, Lord's Braid Kyrian, and the Great Grey Wolf Sif in an attempt to halt the spread of the Abyss, but succumbed to the dark and perished before he could complete his mission. Artorias' mantle was taken up by Ulusil by the Chosen Undead. Sorry, I skipped a line there. It's getting a little bit dark in my room. After being dragged back in time to Ulusil by Manus, entered the Abyss through the city's ruins and vanquished both the corrupted Artorias and Manus himself. In so doing, Lordran was spared from the destruction, though Ulusil was not. Subsequent legends credited Artorias with this accomplishment, and the truth of his demise was concealed, so that his legacy might remain untarnished. Manus' soul was fragmented and dispersed along with the Abyss, following which his shattered essence reformed to four separate entities that came to inhabit Drain Lake and the surrounding territories: the Sister, Nisandra, Adalia, Alana, and Elsana. Meanwhile, sundered sections of the Abyss continued to exist and even attracted a ragtag group of pioneers known as Pilgrims of the Dark, led by the mysterious Dark Diver Grandel, who sought to explore these sacred sites through dimensional gates. According to Grandel, humans need the Abyss in order to understand their true origins as creatures born from dark, and to face the dark that every human harbors within. So where will this be on the test? It's a 160 question test, and there will be no open book. Sorry about it, so I hope that you're paying attention. In Lothric, the Abyss continued to pose a threat to all living things, and claimed even the mighty High Lord Wolnir of Karthus as his victim. The Abyss Watchers of Farron's Undead Legion were established to prevent the Realm of Dark from spreading, and to that end were known to bury any kingdom that showed even the slightest signs of its influence. The first Abyss Watcher was said to have been a master of wolf's blood, whose legacy was later taken up by the Undead Legion. The Farron followers, a subordinate arm of the Legion, accompanied them to battle as a security measure to put down any Watcher who succumbed to the Abyss. The Ages of Fire and Dark, the First Flame, and Linking of the Fire. These alternating phases of nature date to the genesis of the First Flame, and the eradication of the ancient dragons whose race had originally ruled the unformed realm in prehistoric times. The First Flame is a natural force that first manifested at the end of the Age of Ancients and introduced disparity into the world. The term disparity in this context refers to opposing states of existence, such as heat versus cold, life versus death, light versus dark. Thus, Ages of Fire and Dark are characterized by opposing forces and can't be compared to the changing of the seasons from summer to winter, albeit on a far broader and more consequential scale. An Age of Fire in Dark Souls is a period of time ushered in by the Lord of Cinder, during which the power of light is strongest, and the divine beings aligned with light are prosperous, while the Age of Dark is heralded by a Dark Lord as light fades and is a time during which the world is dominated by humankind. Most notably, the Undead Curse is a manifestation of Dark, and so does not occur at the peak of the Age of Fire, when the power of the Dark is at its weakest. For this reason, those with a vested interest in sacrificing undead to sustain the fire, such as the gods of Lordran and their allies, often manipulate their unwitting pawns with the half-truth that linking the fire will break the curse, while deliberately omitting the fact that the cycle of fire and dark will continue regardless, and the curse will merely return again when the next flames begin to fade. Welcome in, Rocknight Killer. Enjoy your lurk. With the exception of the first, which occurred directly after the Age of Ancients and originally set the cycle in motion, every Age of Fire is followed by an Age of Dark once the flames have faded. Every Age of Dark, in turn, will come to an end when the scattered embers from the past Lords of Cinder coalesce to rekindle the flames, and the process will continue in perpetuity. The transition between Ages of Fire and Dark is inevitable. Every attempt to break or transcend the cycle prior to the end era of Lothric has ultimately failed. Bonfires are next. Bonfires in Dark Souls are small shrines resembling campfires and are commonly found at bustling hubs, alongside lonely roads and in all manner of other locations where errant undead might require a moment's respite. Unlike ordinary campfires, which consume dry wood to generate mere warmth and illumination, bonfires are fed by humanity, both from the bones of the deceased humans and willingly offered as kindling, and serve as focal points for the power of fire. Burning humanity in a bonfire allows undead to counteract the effects of the dark side, reversing the process of hollowing and preserving their conscious minds as well as healing their physical wounds. Energy from a bonfire can also be collected in the form of a radiant orange liquid, otherwise known as Estus, and stored for later use within portable vessels called Estus flasks. Can we roast marshmallows on the bonfires? From what I understand, and it's not really, I'm not really seeing anything on the page that's saying that you can't. I don't see why not. I mean, it's still talking about fire, right? So like it should still work. I don't see why it wouldn't. And me, of course, I'm not reading from a book. I'm recollecting this all from memory. So yeah, to answer your question, you can roast marshmallows on Dark Souls bonfires. Have at it. Fucking go nuts. Which ad drops marshmallows? Which, like the monsters in the game? I think it's the weird fleshy flying weird fucks, the goblins, like the flying meat goblins. Those probably have them. I mean, I think that you only ever fight those in like Dark Souls 1, but I'm not sure, I don't remember. So good luck farming them. While most bonfires are attended only on an occasional basis by passing undead, some are constantly maintained by firekeepers, unique individuals whose souls overflow with limitless humanity and serves as fuel for the flames they tend. These special bonfires are linked to one another through their firekeepers are unable to leave them, and therefore never meet face to face. Covenants in Dark Souls are organizations, religious or ideological sects. Like S-E-C-T-S, not sex as in like coitus or intercourse, like a religious sect. You chuckle fucks are giggling out there. I sense you giggling. And other such establishments, sect, yeah. And other such establishments to which the player can pledge allegiance. While some covenants are tied into the main narrative of the games in which they appear, others represent independent side stories, or merely serve utilitarian purposes. One of the most proliferated and best known covenants is alternately referred to as the Warriors of Sunlight and Heirs of the Sun. Members of this group worship Lord Gwyn's firstborn, a disgraced god of war and former heir to Gwyn's lightning, Solaire of Astora, an oft-referenced figure throughout the Dark Souls series, is himself a warrior of sunlight, and famously emphasizes this covenant's golden goal of facilitating jolly cooperation. In stark contrast, the Gravelord servants operate from the shadows, spreading death and disaster in the name of Nito, the first of the dead, and one of the four original Dark Lords. Or one of the four original lords, not Dark Lords. That's different. Don't mind me. That's a little slip up from me. The Dark Rays, meanwhile, are vassals of Darkstalker Kaith, a primordial serpent who seeks to restore the Dark Lord and bring about the Age of Dark. These malevolent beings reside in the abyss and plunder humanity, making them a threat to the living. Likewise, the Fingers of Rosaria are a mysterious order of supplicants dedicated to Rosaria, goddess of rebirth, for whom they collect pale tongues from innocent victims as offerings. The Brotherhood of Blood, a sadistic cult of cutthroats and murderers, led by the enigmatic Tichi Gren, indiscriminately hunts new victims in the name of their blood god, Nar Alma. Nar. I need to take a drink. My mouth is like drying up real good. Got some of that Los Angeles coffee. It gets really, really stinky. Is it like San Francisco coffee or something? I don't know. I don't remember what the brand is. All I know is that they have like a plastic top part and like a cloth bottom part. It fucks real good with peppermint mocha creamer, but then again, everything does. PvP when you're resting voice? No, there's not gonna be any PvP, dude. No, there's not gonna be any PvP. I'm fucking level 12. I'm 12, bro. I don't even know how to get how to get like invasion items in Dark Souls 3. I'm the protector normally. Welcome in, Crucian. Good to see you. Normally I join the Blue Sentinels, so if anything, I would be sitting here flagged up to help people deal with invasions. The Way of White is another possibly even more influential covenant which encompasses an entire religion, as well as the ruling castes and clergy in the nation of Thorland. However, not all the covenants that claim to work towards the greater good are necessarily as pure as they might appear. The Blue Sentinels in particular are an influential force in the city of Volgan, where their power is so great that the armorer Moglin laments being unable to even open a shop there without the Sentinels' approval. The Mound Makers of Lothric, meanwhile, are indifferent to the justice and malice alike. Their only goal is to expand their family, and to this end they roam the battlefield stacking corpses without regard for their victims' identities or transgressions. A few select covenants harbor no grand ambitions nor lofty ideals, but seek instead simply to defend their own territories or secrets from interlopers. The Forest Hunters, a clan led by the mysterious feline Alvina, reside in the Darkroot Wood and bear ill only against interlopers upon their domain. In particular, they seek to protect the grave of Artorias the Abysswalker from wayward desecrators and plunderers. By the same token, the Rat King of Change is to guard their subterranean territories against intruders. So too do the Watchdogs of Farron strive tirelessly to drive away those who might trespass upon Farron Keep and disturb the deceased warrior's slumber. You said there would be PvP? I literally have never said that. Ever. Welcome in, Mr. Fish. Good to see you. Blah blah to you too, my friend. I've never said or even remotely implied to you or anyone at any time that I would do any kind of Dark Souls PvP or PvP in general in Souls likes. So yeah, sorry but not sorry about it. Like, like, you know, just turning some pages here, don't mind me. Let's talk about the Dark Sign, Hollowing, and the Undead Curse. The Undead Curse is a condition that spreads throughout human populations as the fire fades. Those affected become unable to die and will rise again after death, but eventually lose their minds and become empty, wandering husks known as hollows. Multiple factors are known. Door just opened, my dog just came in. Multiple factors are known to contribute to the process of hollowing. The mere passage of time, death, losing one's souls, and simply losing the will to live, or otherwise fulfilling one's purpose in life and having no further anchor. The Dark Sign is a physical mark that appears on the bodies of humans afflicted with the Undead Curse. as hollows are attracted to souls and will instinctively attack living creatures. The undead, who still retain their conscious minds but are fated to eventually become hollows, are almost universally treated as a threat to their societies. They are hunted, captured, imprisoned in facilities isolated from the rest of the world, or, at best, sent away on the pretenses of righteous missions for country and faith. While a small number of undead view their circumstances as a boon, they are commonly regarded as sharing a fate worse than death. Hence, the dark side has become to be known as the harbinger of a curse, and the linking of the fire likewise viewed as the means of breaking the curse. In reality, however, linking the fire merely postpones the inevitable rather than prevents it. The undead curse is a manifestation of the dark, and when the flames have faded, only dark will remain. Hi, Blue Blur. It's been a minute. How you been, buddy? Good to see you. Blue Blur. Keep on moving these pages along. While Lord Gwyn and his pantheon are perhaps the best known and most influential deities of the Dark Souls trilogy, many other gods and goddesses are described within the canon as well. Some of these figures are referenced frequently and play major roles in crucial events, while others are mentioned only in passing or have faded so far into obscurity that even their names are forgotten. Of these, one of the most proliferate is Velka, the rogue goddess of sin. Among other tasks, it is Velka's responsibility to define what constitutes sin and to ensure that no sin goes unpunished. Some adherents of Velka are ordained as partners. These individuals are charged with hearing the confessions of sinners and offering absolution, as well as distributing rites of indictment, which are used to report transgressors to the Darkmoon Blades for retribution. Another important deity is Allfather Lloyd, a patron saint whose image is depicted on the highest denominations of currency in the human realms. Known as an uncle to Lord Gwyn, Lloyd is in particular revered in the nation of Thorland, where his apostles include the head bishop of the Way of the White. Though knights of the clergy hunt the undead in Allfather Lloyd's name, those among the clergy know those ranks who will become afflicted by the curse are instead sent away on undead missions. While his name is widely known at the time of the chosen undead's journey to Lordran, Allfather Lloyd is denounced by the clergy of Karam as a derivative fraud and is no longer commonly worshipped by the Way of the White in the era of Lothric. I hope you're doing well and hope Shumi is too. We've spent a few weeks at my in-laws' house, her parents, and that the visit has been wonderful. Her parents are great. Ellie has definitely benefited from being outside of the house. I don't know how familiar you are with the situation that was going on with Ellie, our dog. Our dog basically just decided that there was one part of the house that was causing her to have long enduring freakout sessions, anxiety attacks to be more specific. And so it was like us being at the in-laws was just like our sudden first and last ditch effort to get her out and and to see if if she would be okay after that. And she is 95% better. We are gonna head home we're gonna head home tomorrow, which is why there's no stream tomorrow, and we're going to just hope that whatever she thinks caused her to originally feel the way that she was feeling is either a non-issue or is simply just not worth worrying about, or is gone, or some combination of the two or three things that just came out of my mouth. We'll see about that. She gets more advanced blood work done on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. We simply don't have any information on why she started acting the way that she did, or seemed to be having anxiety attacks the way that she was. But it is good that she wasn't experiencing that at the in-laws. As far as I could tell, she's had moments, but it's hard for a dog to not have a moment when like 4 or 5 days ago. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was like a freak thunderstorm where there was essentially like so much lightning happening outside that it was like a strobe light for about 45 minutes to an hour, along with some of the most heavy thunder that you experience. Then on top of that, being woken up by a fire alarm and going off, and me trying to get her out of the house because just the fire alarm would be sufficient to freak her out. It would be sufficient to freak out the dog, and it was pouring outside. So, you know, three completely different negative things kind of happening back to back over the span of you people also not having sleep. So we are, like, despite everything that you just said, there are lots of positives that are happening. Streaming is going well. People seem to enjoy whatever this is that I put out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and Tuesday and Sunday, indirectly through my wife. So the answer is we're doing fine, and it could be worse. That's the that's the TLDR. One of the most significant items pertaining to the gods of Dark Souls is a name-engraved ring, which is associated with no fewer than 10 of these deities, ranging from Katha, the goddess of tears, worshipped in Karam, and alternatively depicted as either compassionate mourner of the undeserving dead, or demonic bringer of fortune, to Nema and Hanlith, respectively goddesses of the bliss and love, who are never mentioned anywhere else in the trilogy. Not all of these mysterious figures are actually divine in origin. Evlana, goddess of the hunt, was a human huntress, deified by later legends of her deeds in life. Indeed, enigmas exist even among the descendants of Lord Gwyn himself. Gwyn's eldest son, a god of war and heir to the sunlight, who respected weapons but not else, was stripped of his deific status and expunged from the annals as a consequence of his foolishness. Though he still watches over his warriors, no one ever remembers his name, and it is possible that he is the nameless king. Likewise, few mentions are made of Princess Filianor, who has lain sleeping within the Ring City since the first Age of Fire and may be Lord Gwyn's youngest daughter. There exists barely a single passing references to the flame god Flan, who is known only to have taken the Sun Princess Guinevere's hand in marriage and departed with her from Ainur Londo. In certain cases, more than one god occupies the same role in different lands. For example, while Lord Gwyn's firstborn was known in Lardran as a god of war, the fallen nation of Ferosa worshipped a different war god known as Faram. Ferosa's lion knights, clad in heavy armor, blessed by Faram, were known for their decisively nimble two-handed fighting style. In other instances, the distinction between two gods is a blurry one at best. Zender, god of desire, and Xandro, god of greed, are both represented by the image of a serpent for nearly identical symbolic reasons, and it's possible that both are merely alternate interpretations of the same deity. Hi, Bunny Celeste. Hi. I'm gonna give you a quick shout out. Welcome in. It's good to see you. I checked out your channel, and you seem very nice and well adjusted, so I look forward to watching more streams. I hope you are having a great day. Or at least great-ish. The ancient dragons, at times also referred to as everlasting dragons, are among the oldest forms of life in the Dark Souls trilogy. They predate the first flame and the original Dark Lords to a time of gray crags and arch trees, known as the Age of Ancients. The land over which the dragons presided was unformed and shrouded by fog, an environment devoid of disparity and untouched by light or dark. The dragon's stone scales provided them with limitless longevity, but not outright invincibility. They can still be killed, and their species was hunted to the very brink of extinction by the Four Lords and their servants after the advent of the First Flames. Oh, thank you so much. You're very welcome. Dragons take a variety of forms and possess a diverse array of individual abilities, traits, and dispositions. Seath the Scaleless a blind albino dragon who betrayed his own race and sided with Lord Gwyn, uniquely bears no scales of immortality and is aligned with the element of magic rather than with fire, as most other dragons are. Though Seath has no spoken dialogue at all, he is also explicitly sapient and highly intelligent, as evidenced by his complex relationships with the denizens of Andor Londo and his vast archives of personal research. In contrast, the black dragon Calamite is resistant to lightning, normally the bane of dragons, and possesses a third eye which has the power to bring calamity upon those fixed with its gaze. So fearsome was Calamite that even mighty Andor Londo dared not provoke his ire. I found you through someone else's Discord and your content seemed awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Allow me to show you around, gestures vaguely. Now that was a great tour. Yeah, show her the break room that's hardly ever stocked with donuts and Ferrero Rochers because people routinely ignore the sign to only take one. It's called an honor code for a reason, jackasses. Don't make me set up CCTV in there and be weird about it. You're gonna make me get weird, chat. Don't make me get weird. I don't know what's gonna happen when I get weird. All right, I mean weirder than normal. I'm already weird. Dragons are extremely resilient and have been used in 2 notable cases as physical vessels within which catastrophic forces were sealed. Sin, the slumbering dragon, bore into his body a massive concentration of lethal poison and was kept asleep within the sunken city of Shulva to ensure that the substance would never be released. The Dark Eater Madur, an ancient dragon taken in and raised by the gods of Lordran, was tasked with consuming dragons and are even capable of interbreeding with other races, though the resulting offspring are regarded as abominations. Crossbreed Priscilla was the result of one such union, and Captain Yorshka, the younger sister of Dark Sun Gwendolyn, who shares similar physical characteristics with Priscilla, including a nearly identical tail, may be another. The original race of ancient dragons is highly adaptable and has diverged over the eons into many descendants, subspecies, and offshoot mutations like the Gaping Dragon. The Drakes, though widely regarded merely as imitators of the dragons, are more likely to be their distant relatives. Meanwhile, despite the dragons supposedly being extinct, a few of their species, such as Dark Eater Madir, Black Dragon Calamite, and the Stone Dragon of Ash Lake still survive. Humans have also attempted to mimic the dragons, some merely in pursuit of immortality, and others out of a desire for power to even change the course of fate. Acolytes who walk the path of the dragon seek to assume the form and longevity of a dragon themselves. In contrast, the Scholars of Dragon's Lake conducted experiments to harness the dragon's power directly, resulting in the creation of Shanalot and possibly also the Ancient Dragon. Other humans have attempted to appropriate the power of dragons through simpler and more primitive means. The Drakeblood Knights, led by Sir Yorg, believed that they could attain a higher existence by acquiring dragon's blood, which they regarded as sacred. Ironically, their single-minded quest for the blood of the dragons not only led them to their own demise, but that of the entire city of Shalva. It's hard not to take more than one of those things. Tell me about it, sister. Rare Rocher, like, I have a lot of self-discipline, but motherfucker, if there's like a handful of Ferrero Rochers, you know that I'm ignoring the better parts of me and eating like 4, and then just promising whoever didn't get barely any that I would just get more for them. I'm playing to worldwide to the wise word of Stoic. I'm consuming and disseminating knowledge. I appreciate that, Noko. Thank you. 1,000 years before the Chosen Undead's arrival in Lordran, the Witch of Izalith attempted to recreate the first flame from a soul. The attempt ended in a catastrophic failure that created the Bed of Chaos, a distorted being whose power formed a bed of life which gave rise to a race of abominations known as demons. The newly kindled Flame of Chaos, its power twisted and raging out of control, consumed the Witch of Izalith, her daughters, and the entire city of Izalith along with them. Most of the Daughters of Chaos were transfigured into grotesque chaos demons in the process. Kaelana believes herself to be the only survivor, though the presence of another individual in the ruins of Isolith, wearing the witch's signature gold-hemmed robes and wielding the Chaos Fire Whip pyromancy, suggests that her elder sister may have escaped unscathed. The Chaos Demons, daughters of the Witch of Isolith and former wielders of the Flame Sorcery, were hunted by Lord Gwyn and his knights. Two of these creatures, Quelaag and the Fair Lady, fled the ruins of Isolith and were able to avoid being slain. Together with the ruins of Isolith were... Nope, I already read that one. My brain's starting to melt already. Very good. That's a good sign. Together with the exiled Pyromancer... You really want me to say that word? What's this dude's name? Eingi? Eingi. I'm gonna type it in chat. You tell me how you say this. Eingi. How do you say that? Eingi? Ingi? I'm gonna go with Ingi. I doubt that's gonna say his name again. They oversee the Chaos Lords, the Chaos Servant Covenant, and its cohort of deceased supplicants. Other demons have wandered away from the Isolith into the outside world, and some have even found their way as far as Anor Londo or the Northern Undead Asylum. The city of Ilium Lois was built by the Ivory King to contain the flames of chaos and protect the land's inhabitants from the demons. Despite his best efforts and the power of his own soul, however, the chaos was not to be sated. So the king led his Knights of Lois on an ill-fated foray and directly into the chaos's heart in a last-ditch attempt to seal it once and for all. In so doing, they lost all sense of self and became driven solely by the instinct to expunge any who might disturb the flame, even former compatriots. The king and most of his retinue still burn in agony to this day. The few woeful souls who managed to return to the city were guided by some faint vestige of their former selves. Alsana, a dark entity born from Manus, became the king's oracle and now maintains the frigid seal upon the flames of chaos in his stead. You pronounce it Angie, not Angie or Angie. It's only pronounced as Angie in this. Oh man, you rat. When you rat, Rachna, you rat. In the era of Lothric, the flames of chaos have faded, and the demons are a dying race. The remains of Isolith and its secrets lie buried and forgotten, with only a handful of surviving relics left as clues to their existence. The Witch of Isolith and her daughters survive only in parables, which hold that they have espoused the fear of flame and taught humans how to control it via the art of pyromancy. Most of the accessible areas throughout the Dark Souls trilogy are remote, isolated, and far removed from major populations. Many important characters hail from the unseen but oft-referenced lands beyond, some of which are also the locations of notable events or institutions. Among the most prominent of these regions is the aristocratic nation of Astora, home of the Sunlight Warrior Solaire, the Firekeeper Anastasia, the Aaron Henri, and the blacksmith Andre residing in Lordran. Members of Astora's noble caste are typically defined by blue eyes, fair hair, and generally handsome features. Astora was once attacked and almost destroyed by an evil eye, but the malevolent creature was defeated by the sword of one most noble, and its spirit captured within a ring. In the era of Lothric, Astora has fallen into ruin, although at least a few of its inhabitants still survive. Is the background music Elden Ring lo-fi? You bet your bottom dollar, and that is a very good catch. I recognize that me trying to make the UI streamlined has also made it borderline impossible for you to tell what songs are playing. It is listed at the top right, but I think that you can, unless you really zoom in, unless you really, like, it doesn't help that it's semi-transparent. Unless you really zoom in, it is hard to tell who is doing what there. Game chops, and I'm going to find the album right now. Souls and Chill. This is on Spotify. Souls and Chill. If you look that up, you'll see a whole album. There are some songs that aren't included on this, like the one that has to do with the what is it, the Godskin something, Godskin nobles and stuff like that, which is technically lo-fi, but not what I would consider to be relaxing. I need to make this a little bit bigger, actually, and only because I had this idea to make it bigger before. So we're gonna increase the size of that by just a little bit. Just a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Doesn't need to be huge. That should be good. And then I'll just worry about it later. Awesome. You are so welcome. At the time of the Chosen Undead's pilgrimage to Lordran, the Diocese of Thorlund is the seat of the Way of White, an organized religion led by an ecclesiastic order of clergy and ordained knights whose head bishop is the Apostle of All-Father Lloyd. Although ways of the warriors of the Way of White are charged with hunting down the undead in Lloyd's name, it is customary for ranked clergymen who themselves become afflicted by the curse to be sent away on undead missions. Rhea, the youngest daughter of the House of Thorland, embarks on such a journey through the catacombs of Lordran with her bodyguards Vince, Nico, and Patris in search of the Secrets of Kindling. In the era of Lothric, neither Lorland nor its inhabitants are ever mentioned. The Way of White is still practiced in Cairn at this time, though its tenets have changed significantly. Cairn itself is a land fraught with heresy, surreptitious dealings, and whispers of practices far darker. The ominously pale features of those who call this land home are associated with Earl Astor, an infamous aristocrat known to have commissioned several enchanted rings whose creation was surrounded by dreadful rumors. Astor secretly kept a stockpile of purging stones which provide protection against curses, and his weapon of choice was a gruesome spear and wreathed in rotten, poisonous meat. He is also credited with inventing the shuttle, which, along with the parrying dagger commonly carried by the country's knights, is the preferred weapon of fellow Cairn native Lothric the Embraced. In the time of Lothric, Cairn is the seat of the Way of White, which has undergone considerable changes and no longer worships Allfather Lloyd, though the tradition of his ceremonial undead hunts lives on. Knights of Cairn are instead issued equipment fashioned in the name and image of Morn, an apostle to the Archbishop. The upper echelons of the Archdiocese frequently engage in taboo practices outside of public view, such as the use of Catha's chime and the crafting of forbidden magic rings similar to those first commissioned by Earl Astor. Vinheim, a land of sorcery renowned for its prestigious Dragon Academy, also holds its share of dark secrets. Enrollment at the Academy is highly competitive, which tries less fortunate applicants like the sorcerer Orbeck to earn their tuition as assassins for hire. Moreover, the institution's culture is so fraught with elitism, pretentiousness, and petty rivalry that conscientious academics are often driven out entirely. One of Vinheim's most illustrious sorcerers is Big Hat Logan, whose revolutionary achievements earned him legendary renown, even beyond the borders of his homeland. In particular, Logan is credited with developing the Soul Spear and Homing Soul Mass spells, and later improving them into their crystal variants using knowledge gained from Seath's research. Likewise, Vinheim's blacksmiths specialize in the art of forging weapons with innate magical properties, using special enchanted embers, and their handicrafts typically emphasize augmenting the bearer's magic power or intelligence. Melfia, which lies to the south of Drang Lake, is similar to Vinheim in that it is also a land of sorcery with an equally pretentious magic academy. The Great Swamp, by contrast, is an untamed region of rugged grasslands and treacherous marshes, where the shunned practitioners of pyromancy hone their art. Braided as heretics and driven out of the other lands due to their unusual appearances and manipulations of fire, the pyromancers live close to nature and adorn themselves with magical articles for protection against the elements, though they also wear bronze ornaments to ward off evil spirits and keep the dark at bay. Not least among this region's colorful and at times eccentric denizens are the earnest Laurentius and the wise old Cornix. The fallen pyromancer Engi also traces his roots to the Great Swamp, but was banished even by its community of exiles for his malevolent corruption of flames into poison. Ever have your cat steal the fuzzy piece off your mic? She keeps lunging for it. I found it upstairs before and even going, it's been gone for a few days. Sometimes, like especially cats, like sometimes I know this is like anthropomorphizing animals at least a little bit. Like there is some credit to it, right? I do feel like animals, particularly cats and sometimes in dogs, can hold grudges. I think they have maybe not the intentional emotional capacity to know what a grudge is and to act on it, but I think that there is like an instinctual, you don't want me to have this thing, I want to have this thing, I'm going to continue going after this thing until I have at least one instance where I've successfully gotten the thing and feel like I've won something over on you. You know what I mean? Many other states and regions are referenced less frequently or merely in passing. Katarina, the homeland of knights Sigmar, Sigurd, and Sieglind, is known primarily for its jubilant people and their passion for life and merriment. Even less is known of the historic land of ancient Xena, beyond the unique mannerisms of its sole representative, the merchant Domhnall, and the reverence of its people for far greater achievements. An unnamed eastern land is said to be the origin of a unique style of swordsmanship employing weapons such as the Uchigatana and the washing pole, as well as home of the mysterious Shiva and his enigmatic bodyguard, Volgan, which lies to the west of Drang Lake. It is a city of merchants firmly controlled by the Way of Blue, and is home of the blacksmith Lanegrast, his daughter Colen, Moglin the armorer, and the cunning laddersmith Gilligan. The Five-Fingered Delta is mentioned only once in the series and is described simply as a fertile region populated by farmers. Lots of pages in between. Don't mind me. Lots of pages. Souls are the source of all life, and as such are the manifestation of disparity. They are a product of the first flame, and flourish when the fire is linked. Humanity is the antithesis of souls in that it is aligned with dark and propagates along with the undead curse as the fire fades. Humanity represents the original natural state of human existence, while souls represent the state of existence assumed by humans and all other creatures born from the dark when they are influenced by the power of fire. Because souls help stave off the loss of sanity and self-awareness caused by the undead curse, they hold tremendous value for the afflicted, and have become the de facto currency in virtually every undead community. The violent behavior of hollows towards the living is caused by the life-starved hollows' attraction to souls, which they are instinctively driven to consume. A soul contains the sum total of its bearer's power. The stronger the bearer, the more powerful the soul, and in the right hands, a particularly brilliant soul can be transformed into unique equipment or spells. Souls that have been separated from the original vessels can also simply be consumed by whoever claims them, such as Franny. It's Franny B, consuming every motherfucking boss soul that he can, without even hesitating. Just and then doing it out of spite. Not even hesitating, and then doing it out of spite. Can you believe that? At which point, any portion of power they contain can be traded as currency, or grafted into the soul of their new owner. My mic is being stalked. It sounds like it. Your cat wants that fucking fuzzy thing, man. Possessing a sufficiently powerful soul may grant the bearer supernatural abilities or vastly increased strength, as was the case for the ancient lords who challenged and ultimately vanquished the dragons using the Lord souls found after the advent of the first flame. Intact souls have corporeal forms and can freely change hands from one owner to the next without being consumed. Additionally, under at least some circumstances, they're even known to give off a unique odor. Okay. And then it's like maps, and it's like maps, and there's maps, and conversation trees, and maps. There's got to be more to it like that. It's a lore book, right? Like, give me more Like, give me more, dude. You can't tell me that Miyazaki wasn't just making this shit up. Like, there's descriptions of like weapons and stuff like that, but I don't know if chat wants me to read out the description of every piece of equipment in the game. I'm not sure if I'm even interested in that. Soul odor. I wonder what my soul smells like. Probably strawberries, based off of like the 15 to 20 minutes that I was able to give today to listening and watching your stuff. For sure, to be more, but 15-20 minutes strawberry. Wow, really? Like, you got it, like it, and then it goes into pictures. At least it shows me Priscilla's feet. If you didn't make it up, where do you learn it from? There's got to be more. There must be more. You can't tell me that that's the only lore that Miyazaki has, man. I mean, maybe this is a sign. Maybe this is a sign that I'm supposed to actually like pack like early, so I'm like ready to go as soon as possible tomorrow when I drive home back to my actual house. All right. I'm gonna do something that my instincts tell me not to do for various reasons. We're gonna go to manage poll, new poll. What do Project Wingman or go pack and sleep streamer? Strammer. Okay. I've been really addicted to Project Wingman, but apparently that's it. Like the only other thing that I could read to you out of this compendium, quote unquote, is like location lore and like conversation trees and like equipment descriptors, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna run this poll for 2 minutes. If you've enjoyed this so far, make sure you hit that follow button. If you like this a lot, I could probably take this thing off the screen now. If you like this a ton and have the means, consider subscribing. Every single penny goes back into the stream in some way for the betterment of your viewing pleasure. This is an interesting experiment. That is for true. Poll's running. You tell me what you want. It would not be a terrible thing for me to stop a stream early for once. I'm a little bit eepy. It's been a lack of eepy, or it's been a lack of sleep type week for me. But at the same time, I won't turn away an opportunity to play Project Wingman. While the other 60 seconds of this poll is running, Franny B and I are gonna start doing Remnant 2 co-op on Saturdays. We're probably gonna play on the veteran difficulty, and that's just gonna continue indefinitely until we either beat the game or we both like agree that we're mutually sick of it. What else do I have? I have like actual things to say to you with my mouth. Oh, tomorrow's the last day to vote on the next game. Oh, and the merch store is being updated. I realized entirely too late that the supplier for my merch store has changed. So it's going to be a new URL. In theory, the quality is going to be just as good, and there's going to be more types of items that can be offered. The downside. Thank you for the go pack and sleep. Thank you, chat, for your mercy. I mean, it was gonna be fine if I was gonna play Project Wingman anyway, but it's definitely, honestly, I agree with you. I think that's what I need more than anything. So Mercer is gonna be updated. It's probably gonna be a project for me if I can help it. this weekend, and then I will just put out, you know, feelers on socials and just say, you know, like, hey, if you want to buy stuff with my things on it, this is the link. I want to tell you to go away, but you should rest if you need it. That's my 2 cents. Thank you, Bunny. No, you're right. It's absolutely what it should do. I appreciate you. Soul smells like sunflowers. The color purple and orange. So show me this wingman game. I will show you for exactly 1 mission. Okay, and that's it. And then I'm gonna listen to chat because I respect the diplomacy, democracy. Remove all items from scene. And then I'm going to put myself in the corner here. Put myself in the corner here. Something like that, maybe. And we're gonna close out of Dark Souls that we're using as background dressing anyway. And then I'm gonna lower, because I'm gonna get a little bit louder, I think. I'm gonna lower the sensitivity on my mic that I was using for ASMR. There we go, so I don't like fucking blow your eardrums out. Even though I only went into Dark Souls 3 with the explicit purpose of using it as like background noise, it was nice. It was nice to kill Udex Gundyr in about like 2 minutes, if not less, like in under a minute. It's amazing how slow motion all the Dark Souls games feel compared to the Elden Ring DLC. It honestly is very wild. I felt like I was superhuman, dude. Like I was like perfectly dodging his attacks. I was stabbing in the butt. It was crazy. That's a cool idea for a background. Thank you. Funny playing game. That's what we'll call it, because that's what it is. Funny playing game. Go live notification. Dark Souls Project Wingman. Project Wingman. 1 viewers. Hell yeah. Done. And then I'm going to boot up Project Wingman live in front of a studio audience. So Project Wingman is basically like a love letter to the Ace Combat series. Ace Combat, if you're not familiar, if you've lived under a rock, which is fine if you have, I'm just saying, is a arcade combat flight simulator. That's all about setting you up in typically a alternate reality war of some kind with you as a fighter pilot. Sources, and then we're going to come over here. Variety audio. There it is, and then I'm going to. There's no sound in this yet. I also haven't audio balanced it, like at all. Like truly at all. Audio. Yeah, this is still. So I'm gonna lower the volume preemptively to like 60%. And then I'm gonna watch the bars jump up and down afterward. We're gonna go straight into campaign because I'm addicted to the story. I'm gonna turn off the music. There's not any music in this. Like this, if you can believe it, which is gonna become more impressive to you in a moment. This was made by
Monarch,
3 people.
This is an op just for you. You know I don't like admitting this, but mercenary pilots in this world.
We are Monarch, by the way.
Best. They get more airtime, more time on target than any of us national pilots outside of the periphery. In truth, you get the glamour we all thought fighter pilots were supposed to have when signing up to the academy.
I fucking love Ace Combat, dude. And I also fucking hate them for making Ace Combat Assault Horizon, which is like Call of Duty, Call of Duty-ficationing.
What I'm trying to say is, you're capable.
Ace Combat, thank God they changed their tune after, or with Ace Combat 7, dude. I am a huge slut chat for Ace Combat. I played it since the first one. Except for Assault Horizon. I looked at it and I knew that it wasn't something I was supposed to even remotely go near, or touch, or look at, or interface with at all.
Limiting, jamming, and interrupting our own. Nothing to say of the censorship abilities that are used to enforce the civilian information flow. This is one of the Independence Force's top targets. However, it's been outside our strike range until now. Due to its distance from our front lines, no fuel can be wasted.
Okay, you get the gist. I'll explain what's happening. So this is an alternate reality. Generally speaking, all the continents are the same. There are some geographical location names that are the same, but there is a federation which comprises of like most of the continents. There is a sub nation, like a nation within the broader sphere of what the Federation is, called Cascadia, which consists of the western halves, for the most part, of North America and Canada. And Cascadia has tons of this special resource called cordium, and cordium is like a super fuel. So eventually Cascadia takes umbrage with the fact that its resources are being used to progressively take over the world by the Federation. And so they're like, hey, stop that. Stop doing war so much using this resource that we have a ton of. Federation is like, nah, you ain't talking to me like that. I know you ain't talking to me like that. And then tries to put Cascadia in its place. Cascadia rebels. The Cascadian Independence Force comes out of the woodwork, establishes its own nation, is trying to fend off the Federation, is having a really hard time of it. So the Cascadian Independence Force, with its back to the wall, is hiring mercenaries, and we're a mercenary fighter combat group. And that's the premise. That's all you need to know. It's a good game. We're gonna go for all multiple missile launcher, ground, anti-ground, and launch me. There's tons of planes. There's not a huge difference between them. Typically, it's like you get to choose between different types of loadouts. Oh, I forgot that this is the screen isn't even. I forgot that Dark Souls 3 did this. The screen's not even like good, brother. I went from 1920 to 1440, and it got mad at me. There we go. That's much better. All right, time to watch the bars jump up and down.
Monarch, the radar defenses are pretty hidden away on the mountain range.
The audio bounce should be basically perfect for you. Please let me know if it's not.
Don't tell me I never do anything.
We're not going to be playing this terribly long because I need to listen to the democratic process that I opted into.
No, I'm pissed because
When I asked what I should do.
Maintain radio silence, Hitman 1.
The music is also very good. That's good so far. Thank you. It's unbelievably helpful. Okay, that's a little loud. Let me. All right, we're gonna go down to like 50%. Every streamer knows that 5% is actually like 50% of the volume, so that should be good. We should have voted for ice cream. You should have. There's no ice cream left in the house though.
What? You want to listen to the frickin' snow instead?
The enemy doesn't know that we're here yet. Nar. Now this plane isn't really set up to do plane versus plane combat, but we's gonna make it work. They're also flying kind of slow, and I don't know if that's on purpose or what. Standard missiles will do it. We can't really stay like too high above the cliffs here, because there's a specific mechanic where the enemy is going to be able to target us more easily. We're supposed to be like 1v1ing this entire area here. I thought this was like a second person dating sim, Project Wingman. I get how you would get that impression. I mean, it kind of is. There's a weapons support officer or whatever the fuck it's called. A weapon support officer, weapons something officer. That called Prez, short for president, that hangs out with you and like comments on things that you're saying. And I did set up a mod. I set up a mod that that has her be with you regardless of what type of plane that you're using, because you could typically only bring Prez with you if you're using 2-seater planes. Just do it right. Yeah. Yeah, you silly dude. You should have voted for ice cream, not whatever the hell this is. This is on you, bud. I don't know if I exactly have to kill all the planes. I just have to kill all the ones that are marked as priority targets. But the thing is that I think that I get a bonus payout if I do. God, that's so fucking satisfying, dude. That's so satisfying. I was lied to? No, I didn't say what the... You even knew that it was a plane game. Oh, no, you said, show me this wingman game. Yeah, no, I fucking... Yeah, no, that's... I'm sorry about that one. Yeah, no, I get why you would think that I lied to you. I thought that you knew that this was a plane game. I thought that you knew. You weren't lied to. You just weren't given enough information to know what was being said to you. You know what I mean? Where? This thing is not good at fighting other planes, unfortunately. That was good. That was almost good. Are you for real, dude? Let me kill the plane, please. I wish I had my normal fighter, so I could like pull off like fucking amazing tricks and shit like that. I can't really do that here. They do be rolling circles around me, running circles around me, rather. I would like to kill like one of these enemies at some point. Is that gonna? Yeah, okay, we killed one. Being able to focus on one less at a time is great. Anything is a dating app if you're creepy enough. That's so true. Okay. That was very good. There's a fighter plane that lets me basically turn my plane however I want in real time. But only the fighters... That was close. Only the fighters have access to it. And has zero responsiveness too. Well, I mean, like, how often are you taking my advice, Granny? I'm the master of romance. Source, I'm married. Oh fuck. Okay. Where the fuck is this dude? Can I please? I need to not be so high up in the... need to not be so high up in the air now. So your game is, thank you for using Microsoft customer support. What is your problem? What, sticking a breadstick up my ass? What do you mean sticking a breadstick up your ass? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Fran? What do you mean? No, the thing is that you just have to open. You have to open up your third eye and then start T-posing, and then hit the gritty. Remember that time you told me to film my sexcapades? I don't know if I said that. It sounds like something I would say, but I don't think that I ever like actually stated that outright, forthrightly. We're gonna start doing some stupid shit in a minute. The stupid shit I should not be doing. I do need to kill these dudes though. These dudes do be needing to die. Pretty soon here. It seems that these are helicopters. No, stop. What do you mean that didn't kill it? Is that good enough? Okay, thank you. Holy shit. Okay, they're starting to launch planes and shit out of that, so I do need to take care of this. Okay, good. Yeah, no, that's good. Where? Stop. I was about to say, like, I don't know where they're targeting me from. Okay, we're going to do something very dumb. Woo! Just like that, baby.
Look, lady, whatever you're selling, I ain't buying, yo.
All right. I don't feel like we're trying that whole mission from the beginning. This is a sign that they need to stop. Thank you so much for being here. I intended the ASMR stream to last at least in 2 cumulative hours. And I didn't realize that like half the book was just like equipment descriptions and shit like that. Next stream is going to be on Monday. I don't know what we're playing. It's going to be whatever the result of the poll is. So once it's decided on Saturday, probably, or late Saturday, what the results of the poll is after I unceremoniously close the poll down, then you will know, and I will just release my streaming schedule like normal on Sunday, and then we will all find out together. Thank you so much for joining me, Bunny. Feel free to come back again anytime. It's Rainy B, Reckoning Killer, everyone else that's been lurking. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all of the continued support. I will see you on Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard or regional equivalent with whatever it is that we are going to be playing. Let me find somebody to raid you guys out to. Let's send you over to... Let's send you over to Ryu Red. I don't think that I've been in a position to raid her often. So let's go ahead and do that. If you enjoyed this, consider following. If you like this a lot, consider subscribing. /raid Ryu Red Wings. I'm going to double check to make sure that is actually how her name is written. It is. She's a very nice person. I will warn you. Last I checked, she did seem to have followers only chat set on. I don't know what the reason for that is. I'm just letting you know going into it. All right. I will see you guys on Monday. Goodbye, my friends. Bye, bye, bye. Have a good one. Bye. Love you too, Franny. Bye, bye, bye. Have a good one. Bye. Bye, bye, bye. Take care.